Hey guys, it's Shelby, otherwise known as Shelbizleee here on YouTube, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about minimalism again. So I do consider myself not a novice minimalist, not a very beginner, but probably like intermediate. Definitely not like I only own 20 items or anything like that. And so I wanted to do some advice for people who are just starting, and this advice could probably also apply to people who are like at my level, because I find that minimalism never really ends, especially in a culture that is kind of surrounded by consumerism. You kind of always have to be decluttering, being conscious of what you're buying, what you're not buying, and things like that. So I get requests to do how to start minimalism type videos a lot, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my 4 best tips for how I think you should ease into minimalism. The reason I say this can apply to even people who are like intermediate, kind of like myself, is because the first reason I'm going to mention is you have to know your why. So there are actually quite a few reasons you could become a minimalist, and for me, all of them kind of apply, but it all started with environmentalism, right? Most things in my life are rooted in that, and it all started for me actually in my very first environmental science class when my teacher showed us the Story of Stuff original video. It's actually like a short film. I think it's about 20 minutes long, but I remember watching that and thinking, whoa, I had no idea. I was fresh out of college where I used to not repeat an outfit, where I won best dressed because I was such a hyper consumer, and then I entered into my environmental science coursework and I realized I was such a hypocrite. So I remember thinking that to myself and going home and buying their book, The Story of Stuff's book. I read that book and that was it for me. I stopped shopping the way I used to, and I was repeating outfits like no one's business. Because my reason was environmentalism, because of how many resources it takes just to create any sort of product, that doesn't mean it has to be your reason. There are other reasons, like people with anxiety really like to try out minimalism because reducing the amount of things in your home actually are proven to relieve stress and to make you more happy. I've seen studies, and I can link them in the description, where the less things you own, the happier you actually are, which is so bizarre when you think about how our society is kind of structured, that that's like the actual thing that makes us happy, right? So it could be that, it could be that you're looking for happiness and you want to have real value in your life, or there's another reason, financially. If you just live a little bit below the like expected range of what you should be making, or if you just want to save money and you don't want to waste your money on things that you don't need, that could be a really good reason to try out minimalism. So make sure you have a reason why, and you're not just catching on to the trend of seeing how few things you can own, because it seems to be becoming pretty popular. But if you want to do this movement and you want to stick to it in the society that we live in, it's going to be pretty difficult if you haven't decided your why. So start there. I'm going to stop for a second in hopes that dog stops barking. Okay, I hope that's better for you guys. So the second thing you need to do when you're trying to start minimalism is probably the thing that you already know you need to do, and that is declutter. There are actually quite a few different methods to how people like to declutter. There's the whole method of box up everything you own and only keep after 90 days what you've pulled out of there. There's a method of turn your hangers around one way, and if the hangers aren't turned around within 30 days, get rid of all the things that have the reverse hangers. There are so many ways and so many things that are a little weird for me. In my eyes, I just kind of go through my whole house maybe once a season or twice a year lately because I've been so busy, but I need to do it again really, really soon. And that's another thing. It never really stops. The decluttering never really stops. No matter how those things end up in your house, you will find that as time goes on, you realize, oh, I didn't need that. Oh, how did that get here as a gift? Or whatever it may be, you have to keep doing it. But you want to declutter. There are tons of awesome resources that, again, I'll link some below on the methods of how to declutter and things like that. I'll also link below a couple books that you could read that could help you out on this topic, because it can be a little overwhelming, and I find that a few books that I've listened to on Audible are really, really helpful. So find that in the description box. The third thing you can do, and that I highly recommend, is try a no-buy challenge. Look through your bank account and see where you've been spending, and then try for an entire month not to spend anything. And if you do spend, log what it was and why you had to buy it. Now, this doesn't include things like necessities like food, gas, and rent, and stuff like that. Obviously, that's necessary. But I find that whenever I look at my bank account statement, even now, still as trying to be a minimalist, I find that a lot of things I spend money on are secondhand goodies, which is nothing to be ashamed of. You're not supporting the first-hand market, you're supporting reusing, and I think that's great. But it's really good to be conscious of what your weaknesses are, where you're spending your money, and then try to get a grip on that. That's going to be a really great tip. And the last thing that I wanted to... Tippy just came in the front yard. He is not supposed to be out here. What are you doing? The last tip I wanted to tell you guys is not to hold yourself to a strict, crazy, ridiculous standard. The goal of minimalism is not to get down to X amount of items in your wardrobe. You may have heard this before, but if you haven't, please understand that the purpose of minimalism is not to participate in consumerism. We want to be reducing the amount of resources going into things, we want to be saving money, and we want to be able to use what we have already as the best resource whenever we need something in our life. If you declutter things just to do it, you're going to find yourself missing those things or kind of resenting the lifestyle as a whole. That's how I feel about zero waste, minimalism, veganism. If you try to do everything at once without being pretty knowledgeable about it, I find that you'll give it up pretty quickly. So don't be too strict. And I say this because there are plenty of people who have certain types of hobbies that they don't want to give up. For instance, I love YouTube, obviously, and I have quite a bit of camera goodies that I've collected over the last year since I started my channel, like multiple cameras, tripods, things like that, but they really help me be creative, and they're a great outlet for me, and obviously connect me to you guys, so it's really important to me to have those things. I'm not going to narrow down all of the cameras that I have because I use all of them, and there's no reason for me to get rid of something if it is bringing value to my life. The purpose in minimalism is to find value in the things we own, not to just buy things for the sake of it, right? But maybe some of your hobbies include shopping, like mine used to. Like I said, switch over to secondhand. That's been a great thing for me. Thrift shopping is so much more rewarding and so much more fun, and I don't feel guilty about it ever at all. As a matter of fact, I almost feel not guilty to the point where I should probably learn a better balance of not buying everything I think is cute at the thrift store every time I go. What are you doing out here? You need to go inside! So maybe trying out minimalism will get you a new hobby, kind of like it did me. Definitely I traded shopping for things like hiking and photography, plant identification. I recently got in my community garden, which I'm so excited about. Hobbies like that mean a lot more to me because I can see production in my life. I'm growing things, I'm growing as a person, instead of just spending my time in a mall where I'm following the latest trends that someone else set for me. It's a lot more rewarding to find hobbies where you feel fulfilled at the end of the day instead of having a budget hangover. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope this video was really helpful. If it was, make sure you give it a thumbs up and leave any of your best tips for minimalism down below. You can also tell me anything that you might be struggling with when it comes to minimalism, and I'll try to make a video about that in the next week. So remember, you guys, until next time, create the peace.